Well, hello again. It is fantastic to have you back and to welcome you to what's going to be a very special episode of our podcast, Extraordinary People, the Pride of Britain. Brought to you from all of us at the Pride of Britain team and our friends at TSB. Now, as you all know, we have always been on a bit of a mission here to celebrate amazing people doing amazing things and those who go that extra mile for other people. And this week is no different. This week is about starting life again. How can we do it? What do we need to do when the odds are stacked against us? We are about to find out. Our first guest is famous for living life to the full and very much on his own terms. Whether he's dancing on stage with his band, the Happy Mondays, making us all crack up laughing on Gogglebox, or living the good life at his hideaway in Wales. Life is never, ever dull with BEZ. He's long been a supporter of the Pride of Britain team, and so it's fantastic to be able to catch up with him.
So, hello, BEZ. Welcome to our podcast.
How are you?
Very good, thank you. This podcast, as I'm sure you know, is all about what makes people tick, what motivates people, what inspires people. You're someone who really seems to enjoy life, I've got to say. You always seem very upbeat. So, what is your secret? How do you stay so positive?
Well, I've made quite a lot of changes in my life recently. One of them being I juice every day. I drink loads of water every day, which is because one of the things I always say is that we've got this great big thing now with Alzheimer's and dementia and all that, and I believe it's all down to dehydration of the brain in your brain. So with bearing that in mind, I drink loads of water to make sure I'm really well hydrated and that all my brain signals are firing well. And I enjoy, I live on the Hereford-Monmouth border. I enjoy a really beautiful life down there. And I wake up every morning, I open the curtains, and I say to my fiancée, how lucky we are.
Oh, so I know you recently got engaged, didn't you? It's quite recent. Can you tell us a bit about it, what you did?
Yeah. Well, the local mountain near us, we live at the beginning of the Black Mountains, and there's a mountain on the way to Hereford, to Abergavenny, and it's called Skirrid. So what I did, I got all her family up there, her mum and dad, her sisters, and I got all my friends and family at the top of the hill. And I set up got a big proper picnic basket, made a picnic. And I told my girlfriend that we was going for a walk up the hill, and as we're going up, she could see a silver D blowing because her brother died a few years ago. So we had a picture of her brother up there with a big blue with his initial on it. She said, "Oh, D for Daesh." Then she goes, "Wow, I'm sure that's my sisters up there." And then dad, and she started screaming, going, "Oh, what's going on?" And then I got down on one knee and proposed. We had a picnic on top of the mountain. It was the most beautiful day. You got 360-degree views. You can see right into Wales. You can see right into England. And it was a lovely day.
Wow, you're all romantic.
I know. Well, I'm 58 now, and I thought I'd better do it before it's too late. You know what I mean? And I don't want to go through life without getting married at least once.
Yeah, completely. So when are you going to get married?
Well, we're getting married now in September, September the 3rd. I live on a big country estate, and it's got everything there. It's got a big manor house. It's got the church. So everything's going to be done within the estate. So, yeah. And the maddest thing is during lockdown, my dad was doing all the family tree. And one day he phoned me up going, Mark, you don't believe it. But one of my auntie's great grandmas was born here in 1705.
Whoa.
She lived in the house just next door to me. And her father and grandfather are also buried in the churchyard where we're getting married.
No way.
And that's like over 350 years ago. So in a way, it feels like I've come back a full circle. But have you ever read the book Cloud Atlas?
Yes, I have. Brilliant book.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit like Cloud Atlas, how
How it
over
links.
centuries families' paths keep crossing, and it reminded me a lot of Cloud Atlas.
Wow. So where you are, because it does sound idyllic where you are, and obviously some people. I mean, it's interesting with you because some people will know you. You know, they know you and Sean from Gogglebox. They don't know anything about your life before. Other people know you from the Mondays, or that you've got all these different groups of fans. So I think some people would be surprised to know about your what to me sounds like this beautiful good life. What's like a typical day for you when you're out in the countryside? What do you do?
Well, I love it here because I've got all friends. There's a lot of people living alternative lifestyles. A lot of smallholder farmers doing like different things. You know what I mean, and all organic as well. And I just love it here. And the great thing about living here as well is because it's not on a commute to anywhere. It's sort of like really difficult to get to. So the only people who actually live here are either the locals or people who really want to live here. You know what I mean? It's because it's not like, it's not handy for anywhere. It's not handy for London. It's not handy for Manchester. It is a proper slog and a commute to get anywhere. And that's what's nice about the place. And we've got things like Hay and Y just up the road, the Kingdom of Books. So, it's just a great place to live.
Sounds it. So, would you say that you are now a reformed party animal, or do you still have your moments?
No. Well, because of my job, obviously,
Yeah.
I get I get to manage to enjoy both sides of life. You know what I mean? But because I now more aware of you know myself getting older for one, and I want to like no age sort of being well. I don't want to become unwell in my old age. So I'm aware of the things I have to do to remain healthy through food. Actually, to getting the right nutrient and eating good food and making sure that. My body cells degenerate slowly rather than at a rapid pace.
Yeah. Do you know what? I always think that about you. I remember reading your autobiography years ago. And even at the height of Monday's madness, you were someone who was dead fit. You were like still on your bike or playing football or I don't know, you never seem to have got fat.
Yeah, no, that's because I enjoy being active as well, and I'm out in the garden. We grow our own veg. Like it's just some. I've been away now. I've just come back. I've been away for 4 weeks, and I'm gonna have to get right out there tomorrow. The garden's like a jungle now. You know what I mean? It's only been 4 weeks, so I've been away, and you won't believe what I've come back to.
Do you grow loads of food then? Have you got animals and food?
Well, I was doing, but the last couple of years I've been that busy. I've had to put it on to one side for the moment. You know what I mean? Because obviously it's that it. No, especially when you're doing it organically, it's a full time job maintaining and weeding constantly. You know what I mean? So, but I've put it to a side for the last couple of years. But I know that I can do it, and I will go back there. But in the height of when I first moved here, when I was really enthusiastic, I had everything going on. I've still got all my beds, everything's still ready. But like I said, I've been away now for 4 weeks, and you won't believe what's happened to the garden in these last 4 weeks.
I know, all that rain plus sun, everything's gone wild, hasn't it? Does Sean ever
And
come and visit
so
you?
absolutely, like I've come back to like a jungle.
Yeah, I can believe it. Does Sean ever come and visit you down there?
Well, you know what? He hasn't actually been down here yet. I've been trying to get him down here forever because I know if he came down here, he'd absolutely love it. You know what I mean? But I know if I do get him to come down here, I can convince him to move down here with me because I've done it everywhere else I live. You know what I mean?
But do you know what? Friendship's a big part of this podcast. We talk a lot about friends and friendships. And obviously, you and Sean, you've famously been friends for a dead long time. What have you had any ups and downs, or have you just
Oh yeah. Well, of course, it's like any friend, and we always say our relationship's like a sexless marriage.
perfect?
But Yeah, we have all the ups and downs of any relationship. You know what I mean? We've gone through it all. You know what I mean? But the thing is, no matter what's gone on and how much we might have our little fallouts and that, we've always remained good friends, and we've always put aside any differences. You know what I mean? And we've always remained good, strong friends.
What is it that you like? What do you love about Sean, and what do you think he loves about you?
Well, I couldn't say what he loves about me, but it's been such a no. My friendship with Sean is giving me the lifestyle I have now. You know what I mean? And I'm always grateful for that lifestyle and the life I live. You know what I mean? And that was born out of our friendship and being in the Happy Mondays. It's given us a fantastic life and unbelievable. Like money can't buy this lifestyle what I've had, and it's been like wow. You know what I mean? It's been like a life-saving thing for me.
And you're still working together, so I think you two must be two of the most loved people on Celebrity Gogglebox because you're clearly natural.
Yeah,
You've got all your snap. What are your
yeah.
snacks? You can never quite tell what you've got. What have you got as snack?
Well, I can let you into a little secret. It's very hard to get a word in edgeways with Mr. Ryder. He's got so much to say for himself. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's good that everyone can see that we are like genuine friends from the Gogglebox experience. And it's a great job as well because during the lockdown, when we first started filming it, it was great because we got to hang about with your mate in a home environment without breaking the law, and not like Boris. You know what I mean? We was genuinely working, and,
Yeah, you just work quite
and,
a lot.
having a great time together, doing a little bit of work. So yeah, it was fantastic.
And do you, because you've done quite a few TV projects, you seem quite fearless. Obviously, Dancing on Ice, you take things on and just seem to go for it. Are you someone who have you got a bit of an appetite for excitement and doing new things?
One of the most scariest things, well, with the dancing on ice, first of all, I'm still at the physiotherapist recovering from that one. I realise my body is not quite as young and flexible as it used to be, and I didn't quite bounce off the ice like I would like to. But another thing, just previously to it, I'd done a boxing match against Clayton Blackmore, and I had double vision as well for the first, all the training. So I had, when I was skating down the ice, I had two ice rinks. I didn't know whether I was on the top one or the bottom one.
Oh my god, that is. I mean,
But what I've realised now is like I might avoid all these no danger sports now.
I don't know. You seem very young at heart. I know. I read this interview with you not so long ago where you were talking about when you were a baby that you're even a bit naughty when you were a baby. So do you think were you just born a bit kind of naughty and taking your own path?
Yeah, I think so. And and it wasn't so much as not. It was like misunderstandings with the rest of the world. But I didn't set out to be genuinely naughty. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things. But yeah, like Sean says, that he's discovered he's got HAD, no, late on his life in his 50s, and he always tries to claim I have it, but I like to no say I haven't because I don't like getting labelled with all them definitions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, through my old schooling and that. I was always a lovely, pleasant kid, but always getting into trouble as well.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think when you grow up, like you say, your priorities just change. So, like for you now, where you're talking about an emphasis on being well and growing old and being well, you don't want to just grow old. You want to be able to enjoy it like you've enjoyed the rest of your life.
Yeah. Well, that's my aim now because I've seen a lot of my friends now. You know what I mean? At my age, I'm 58, and they're falling to pieces. You know what I mean? They've all got different sorts of illnesses going on, and I'm really keen. Well, the last 9 years, nearly 10 years now, I've taken steps, to avoid what I see as the pitfalls of going into old age, and I've taken measures to try and avoid these possible difficulties in later life. So I've yet to see whether it works or not. Come and ask me in another 10 years' time and I'll tell you if it had or not.
Oh God, I hope it does. I think another thing we love about you is that you've been a really great supporter of Pride of Britain and Pride of Manchester. I know you've helped us surprise winners and helped us out with things like that in the past. Why have you wanted to get involved? Why do you think it's such an important thing to celebrate people doing good things?
Well, because it's because it's really important because within this day and age, and even so it now as well, because with what's going on in the world and like high inflation, if people didn't have it in their hearts to go out and help other people, then nothing would be getting done. You know what I mean? And we need people who feel driven and like passionate about causes. And some of the people come to these causes through things what have happened to themselves, and if they're determined to help. And it's nice to get some recognition, for what you're doing. And they're not doing it for the recognition, but it's nice, like the Pride of Britain and Pride of Manchester, have set up a thing and recognise people's hard work and what they've done for the community. And I think it's really important because, like you say, I do a lot of work for Coffee for Craig, which is a homeless charity. And I do that because, when I was younger, from like 16 to almost 22, I was living more or less homeless without, if it weren't for the kindness of friends and that. And it's great that there's people out there wanting to do something and try and make a difference for people's lives, help them get back into homes again, feeding people. And it's important work because I remember when I was a kid, there was none of that about. And I used to I remember sleeping under bushes, dreaming about eating a meat pie, you know what I mean? I get 50 pence to eat a meat pie. So, yeah, so that's why I've got a thing for Coffee for Craig and helping them out through my own personal experience. So I think it's really important that people out there who do these things, and because nobody else is going to do it even now, because the government's got no money to help people anymore. Things are just getting worse, and we've got to do what we can to help each other.
I think you're right. I think that's a really that's just the sentiment, isn't it? We've got to do what we can. At the end of the day, we can all do something. And I think when you look at the awards, you see people just doing what they can in their community, just out of the good of the heart. But well, look, I think that's a brilliant note to end on. So thank you so much for your time, Bez. I hope you do age well.
Well, I'm trying.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I've really enjoyed chatting to you.
Okay, thank you very much. You take care now.
Oh, thanks, Bez. As he says, life is what you make it. And someone who knows all about that is our next guest, Dwayne Jackson. Dwayne is a quite incredible Pride of Britain winner. He won the Prince's Trust Young Achiever Award in 2015. Why? Well, Dwayne was brought up in children's homes around London, and he really didn't have the easiest start in life. He left school without qualifications, and when he was 19, he was sent to prison for trafficking drugs. But even by then, he'd already developed a fascination for IT. It was something he was really good at. With the help and the advice of the Prince's Trust, once he'd left prison, he set up his own IT business, selling it off about 10 years later for an estimated £20 million. He's gone on to find several businesses and donated a lot of money back to the Prince's Trust to help others, as well as encourage others in prison to learn IT themselves. He is a brilliant example of someone who took control of his own life and his own destiny, and the power of using your experience to help other people. Dwayne Jackson, the last time I saw you was in the Red Bar at the Grosvenor House Hotel, I think, at some ungodly hour in the morning, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, I remember it well. It was good fun.
I don't remember much of it, but that was after the Pride of Britain Awards. Now, your story is one that I could quite see Netflix making into some great big blockbuster movie, because it is quite extraordinary. So can we just start from the beginning
So I grew up in Newham, which is sort of one of the poorest parts of London, in various children's homes. So moved around different children's homes, moved around different schools, got kicked out of 2 secondary schools. I say kicked out, so actually I got kicked out of one school. The second one started bunking off, not really going in much, a couple of days here and there. No one seemed to notice. So it just became, I just stopped going. So didn't sit any GCSEs. So left school 15, no GCSEs. Whilst I was in the children's homes, I found a book on how to program computers, picked that up and taught myself how to program and really enjoyed that.
So we're just about out of the BBC Micro stage.
Yep. Yes, this was the ZX Spectrum.
Yeah, the ZX Spectrum and the Amstrad.
Yeah, it's got a lot to answer for.
With the green and black screens.
That's it, and rubber keys and...
Yeah. So when you say about, I picked up a book and, it was about computing, I just want to remind people of it was very different.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't going to school. I was at the children's home and they said, you can't watch TV, you're meant to be at school. So this is when I'm between schools for some reason I never did understand. And they were giving me worksheets to work on that's like how to tell the time. And I was like 13, 14. I knew how to tell the time. And I said, and I saw this box, the ZX Spectrum. I said, look, can I work with that? I was very careful not to say play. Can I work with that? And they said, well, yeah, of course, go for it if it'll keep you busy. So it kept me out of their hair and opened up the box and set it all up. And all I had, so I didn't have the internet to search for help, but I had this big, thick manual that came with the computer. And that taught from the basics of 10, print hello, 20, go to 10, and it would just go in a loop and say hello, hello, hello. And from there, you build on that. So, but that served me well later on. So left children's homes. And I'd grown up around a lot of crime because of where I was, the environment I was in. I hadn't really got much involved with it, and actually went and got my first job. I was contracted and doing reasonably okay, but very poor money management skills. So was in a situation where I had no money. My friends I knew had escalated from selling weed on the streets of East London to moving ecstasy tablets across the Atlantic to New York. So I pretty much volunteered to get involved with that, to have the fun of going to America. And some money in my bank, and didn't really give it much thought. Was very blasé about it, and got involved with them drug trafficking, not knowing we were under surveillance, and had been for some time. So on one occasion, I landed in Atlanta and was stopped, arrested, and the DEA found me in possession of 6,500 ecstasy tablets. Spent in hindsight, hilarious night with the DEA. I mean, it got very scary afterwards, but that one night with the DEA of pretending I was going to help them deliver the drugs was, that was something out of a film.
And how old were you then?
So I would have been 19, maybe just turning 20. Yeah. 19, 20. So pretty young.
That's scary stuff, really.
Yeah, and when I got into prison over there, they made it very clear that you're looking at 25 years here, because it's, and I don't think I'd given much thought to what happens if I get caught doing this. And I think I thought I'd get a slap on the wrist and sent home. Because although I never really took any drugs, there was a lot of ecstasy around in the sort of mid to late 90s. And in my head, I thought, well, at least it's not cocaine or heroin. But actually, in the eyes of the law, it's identical. It's a Class A drug. So I was looking at 25 years over there. Fortunately, so someone bailed me out, and we managed to get bail, and I came back to the UK on the condition that I'd go back a year later and stand trial. In that year that I was in the UK police, who arrested the rest of the gang because we were under surveillance, got the US to drop the charges so they could charge me here. So at least now I was looking at sentencing in the UK. So rather than 25 years, I was only looking at 12 years. And I was telling someone the other day, I should go and find the judge. It was Judge Rucker at Southwark Crown Court. We were told expect 12 years. We all got found guilty. And when we got sentenced, it was like we won the FA Cup. No one in the dock could understand. We were all high-fiving because I got 5 years. Someone else got 6 years and 9 years. He was expecting 18. He got 9. And what the judge said was, you guys are so young doing what you're doing. I normally see 40, 50-year-olds in terms of this level of sophisticated drug trafficking, and I don't want to ruin your lives. You're obviously all smart guys. So I'm going to give you a sentence that you deserve, but not one that will take up the rest of your life. And so I served my time in prison. But thankfully, because I wasn't away so long, I did have a life to look forward to when I got out.
And many people listening, will obviously judge what you did and so on. But we are believers that, people have second chances and sometimes third chances. What happened with the IT skills? Because ultimately that's where you've made your money, is it?
Well, I kind of thought it's great. I'll do an open university degree with all this time I've got in my hands. Not a problem. And very quickly realised that was not going to be an option. In prison, you have to either be working in what they call industry, which would have been sewing boxer shorts at that point, or in education. Education is only really geared up for sort of the lowest common denominator. So it'll give you your basic English, your basic maths, and they have a basic IT course as well. So I signed up for that. And I think it's a 2-month course, and I went and did it in the morning. And the teacher said, well, okay, very clever, showing off, but you're stuck with me for 2 months now because you're assigned to me for 2 months. So you're going to have to help me teach everyone else. And that's what I did. And I really enjoyed it, and was helping to teach other inmates programming skills. Well, not programming skills, so basic IT skills, so using Word and whatever else. And actually, that's when I got my first award. So David Blunkett was then Home Secretary, and I got a Millennium Volunteers Reward in the year 2000. But then that teacher fell ill, eventually stopped coming in. So I was teaching that course pretty much myself in the prison. All my co-defendants, we were all getting to the end of our sentence now. This is a couple of years into the sentence. They were all getting moved to open prisons to finish the sentence, and I wasn't. And I couldn't work out why. And so the prison officer took me to one side and said, look, you do realise why you're not in an open prison yet? I'm like, no, tell me, because I should be. He said, if you leave this prison, we have to find money to pay a teacher to do that course. Stop teaching the course and you'll get transferred. So I stopped teaching, and ended up going to Ford Prison. Better class of criminal. HMP Butlins is what people call it. It's a lot easier then, definitely.
So how old were you when you came out then?
So I'd gone out in 2002, so I would have been 24 by the time I got out of prison.
Okay, so still a young man.
Yeah.
Now you can teach basic IT quite well. And you could have gone down that route. You probably knew that IT was growing in the world. And so what was the thought process that made you do the next thing? So
by that time I was a competent web developer, so I could build stuff for the web by that point. So I had a skill that I knew was employable. What I didn't realise, so we didn't have The Apprentice or Dragon's Den back then, right? So I didn't realise the option of running the business was one that was available to me. And I remember close to the end of my sentence at Ford, in the education department, there were some volunteers from an organisation called the Prince's Trust that came in to talk about something they do called the Enterprise Programme. And they help people from underprivileged backgrounds set up businesses. Not just help you get set up, but actually give you the skills you need and teach you the basics of running a business. And I was like, I'm allowed to run a business. Okay, this could be interesting. And then when I got out, so my girlfriend, Nadia, who you met, my now wife, was pregnant very quickly. And I remembered thinking, when I was in jail, we saw these guys with the pictures of their family stuck up on the wall. And I remember thinking, I'm glad I'm not one of those guys. I'm doing this on my own. I'm not missing anyone growing up. So a baby on the way, Prince's Trust, they're saying, if you want to start a business, we'll help you. It seemed like a no-brainer to me. So I went to the Prince's Trust, got help to set up a business, and I set up as a programmer for hire, essentially, building stuff for the web, working with web designers, doing the techie stuff.
Because it's interesting, isn't it? That they gave you the thought, because often kids think, well, who am I going to work for?
Exactly. Yeah.
Who's going to employ me?
Exactly.
And it's a big mind shift, isn't it?
It's with my kids, like when they're playing games, my daughter isn't the waitress in the cafe or the cook in the cafe. No, it's your cafe. You might be working in it, but you're the boss of the cafe. And even getting when she's giving me the price of the cakes, and if she's saying I'm giving the cakes 10p, I'm saying, well, how much? She's only 7, the poor girl. I'm getting her to the profit and loss on her cakes that she's making.
So tell us about the business then.
So initially it was just a programmer for hire. And I got going and got some customers that were paying me to do this business. I was doing okay. And there was a government scheme at the time that helped as well. So for the first 6 months, I kept all my benefits. It paid the housing benefit and so on, and managed to build it up to an okay position. Well, I was putting food on the table, and that was my only goal. I had no goals to make tens of millions. I just wanted to put food on the table legally, not risk having it all taken away and going to prison. And again, through the Prince's Trust, there was a course they put on for the businesses that they'd helped. And someone made the distinction between a product business and a service business. And I realised I'm running a service business. The only way I can make more money is charge more per hour or work more hours. There are only so many hours in the day. If you want to make serious money in your sleep, apparently, I was told, sell a product. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And what it took me a while to join the dots. So I'd already started building something to do my own invoicing, because the products that were around at the time were not particularly good, certainly not geared to a non-accountant type business owner.
We're in the early 2000s.
Yeah, 2003, 4.
Yeah, just post the tech bubble.
Yeah, exactly.
And all of that. Yeah.
And there was only 2 or 3 options if you want to do your accounting or invoicing, and they were clunky. And so I ended up building my own, and then working out how I can sell that to other businesses. And that became a company called Cashflow with a K. And it started very basic. If there's an invoice, it's paid, not paid. And by incrementally adding more and more little features based on what our customers are asking for, that grew over a number of years into a full-blown accounting package. But it also surfed that wave of online software. These days, everything's online, even pre-corona. All your software is online now, not a CD or something you download. So it stumbled into the right place at the right time with a good product. And that grew and grew. And by the time I left that business, we had 20,000 customers using it. So wow. it was okay. It was doing well.
And how much money did you make on that? Because
I'm not allowed to tell you it was 20 million, but other people have written it. But legally, I'm not allowed to tell you that. Okay. So I sold it for 20 million.
I understand those contracts. And how old were you then?
35.
Wow, 34. What a change.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we're coming up now to the 20th anniversary of me getting out of prison. So December 2002 is when I got out. So yeah, this year it's 20 years.
Gosh.
I must have dreamt about it, because I woke up the other day and said to my wife, it's 20 years today. She's like, what? I said, it's 20 years today. She said, are you asleep? I said, no, it's 20 years since I got out of prison. She's like, what are you talking about? It's June. Oh, sorry, yeah, morning. It must have been on my brain. But yeah, December, it'll be 20 years.
It must have been.
Yeah.
It must have been. But you know, it is quite extraordinary. And you know, you see so many tales, and you see them in movies, and you see them here, there, and ever, you know, which is like just a misery, basically. Yeah. You start in misery, you live through misery, and you end up in misery, you know, and this is very different. But for those who are listening, what kind of advice would you give to them?
Really, it is just 2 words. It's do something. Right, so you can sit there and say, I don't like it how it is. Okay, great. What are you doing to change that? It's just literally do something, and do it on purpose, right? So many people that I knew in prison, so many people I grew up with, end up where they are in life, at any point in their life, 15, 20, 40, 60. A lot of people, from where I'm from anyway, end up there because the wind blew them there. So I ended up writing the whole story as a book called 4,000 Days. And that's on Amazon. But there's a quote at the front of it that really sums it up for me, which is, if you don't have a plan, you'll end up as part of somebody else's plan. And guess what they've got planned for you? Not much. So it's having your own plan for where you want to go. Take responsibility for what you're doing today, tomorrow, to change your situation. Do something. And
it doesn't have to be perfect, does it?
And it won't always work, right? Sometimes you'll get it wrong. And it doesn't have to be the right decision, but a decision is better than no decision quite often.
So it's easier when you have a lot of money. Say, oh yeah, you can kind of write it off. You can buy your way out of trouble, for want of a better phrase. But when you were in that early stage of the business, and people would come to you with, oh, well, that's not quite right, let's say, about the software. Yeah. How would you take that?
And I don't think it's just criticism. It's also the unpredictability, right, of what it is you're doing and where you're going to, uncertainty. So, yeah. But when and I think, that is something that my upbringing gave me, right? So you grow up in children's homes, and you know from experience that, yes, this is your bed tonight. Tomorrow morning, you could get told, put all your stuff in a bin liner, you're moving. And it happened numerous times, and it can happen to you in prison as well. In prison, I call it ghosting, where you're just gone the next day. Wow. You learn to live with uncertainty, and you accept it as part of life. And that's, especially when you're starting a business, it is very uncertain how it's going to pan out, right? Yeah. So I think there's certainly, that served me well, that comfort with uncertainty and ambiguity.
What have you done since, so we were last in the bar the morning after, and in 2015. What's happened to Dwayne and Nadia and the family since then?
So I've started, and I'm starting and invested in some other businesses, and 2 of them in particular have done very well financially for me. And now have 3 children rather than the 1. So been very, very busy home life. Wrote the book. So there's a lot of funny stuff that happened in prison, and with that whole drug trafficking time, and then with the growing the business. So wrote the book, and you said at the beginning it could be a Netflix documentary. Someone's taken a film option on that now. Whether anything comes of it, we'll see. So wrote the book, helped start. So started a charity. I say started, actually. It was a guy called Michael that started it as the driving force behind it. A charity called Code 4000. So the name comes from 4,000 days was how many days it was from when I got out of prison to when I sold the business, close to 4,000 days. So this is Code 4000, and we work with prisons and the MOJ, go into prisons and teach inmates how to program. So when they get out, they can maybe get jobs in industry or maybe set up on their own in business. And that is now part of a large organization called Catch 22. But that's still going. And we've seen people go through that program and transform their lives when they get out of prison. So that's really rewarding.
That is absolutely incredible.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
And I bet that gives you great thrill when that happens.
It does, to be a part of something like, because what I'm not so much as a details person or the dynamic energy person in the room that's going to get stuff done. But there was somebody else, specifically Michael, had this idea and wanted to do it and wanted some support and some financial input and examples he could use. So me, Michael, and a guy called Andrew all got involved, and Michael's energy is what grew that. So to be a part of that and see that happen is really rewarding. Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Very much so.
Wonderful. And congratulations to you all, 3 children now. And you and Nadia have been together for a very long time. Like you said, you knew each other from your worst days, really.
Yeah, well, she tuned in when I was 11, when we first met at primary school.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was
and we lost touch, and then she found me again when I was in prison.
Wow. Wow. There's dedication.
Yeah.
That is dedication. And it's been a long time. And how do you find life now? Do you look back on the times, in school and all of that? Or do you think, no, forever look forward?
Yeah, it's definitely much more about today and tomorrow rather than looking back. So firstly, it feels like it was somebody else. And it is a lifetime ago, right? But I think just generally the way I look at things is always looking forward rather than back. I think it's something that's useful to reflect back. And actually and because of a lot of entrepreneurs are like that, right? Yesterday's state of the business, your turnover last month is done. You can't change that, right? You can impact tomorrow. So we're always looking forward. And not just the Pride of Britain, but business awards. They're and this is what I always say when I'm business awards and people have won something. Just stop for a second, stop. And look how well you've done with your business or whatever it is. And that's what these awards really do, right? You get to look back and go, oh, actually, no, I've done all right, haven't I? And then you get up tomorrow and you carry on going forward.
I always find this, because I talk to the kids and I'm like you. I'm forever driving, forward. Oh, what's next? Always, all my life.
Yeah.
And it's good sometimes, I think, to look back and I think, right, what did I achieve last month? And
exactly.
So I tend to do it like that now, month by month. And I think, oh, actually, I did do that, didn't I? I got, whatever it might be.
Especially when you've got that feeling that, I haven't got much done. And actually, then you've got a bit of paper, your to-do list, all the stuff you ticked off, and we go, okay, we did a lot. And again, it applies to business as well. That whole, what have we got done? Where do we want to be in a month? In a month's time, look back, how well did we do?
I want to ask you about the Pride of Britain night.
Yeah.
And was that a wonderful night for the two of you?
It was, definitely. And we got to take my oldest as well, which was brilliant. Yeah. So because of my involvement with the Prince's Trust, so when I sold my business, I gave money back to Prince Trust to become a patron, and I've done a lot and met lots of famous people like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, but quite often Prince Charles, right? And when you meet Prince Charles, a lot of the fun is sucked out of the occasion by all of the staff that are running around, make sure you're standing right, stand at that angle. And it kind of puts you on edge the whole night. The thing with the Pride of Britain is so well organized that you enjoy every minute of it, and all the stuff that goes, and the details, what the day before. Everyone's just so relaxed and there to enjoy the evening, rather than on edge, nervous. And I look over and there's my daughter getting a selfie with David Beckham, and it was such a fun night, and it was enjoyable because of how well organised it was. So everyone that's involved behind the scenes at Pride Britain does an amazing job.
Yeah, well, we're all of us on the team, under ITV in the Mirror, it's considered a privilege to be able to be on the team,
Okay,
so it's special to us as well. And thank you for saying that. But was it with the Platinum Jubilee? Do you have to sort of pinch yourself? You know, that final balcony moment where there's the Queen. Did you have a little thought to yourself when you saw that final balcony moment?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially because we were sitting to a little place in Mayfair, so we're just round the corner from where it was all happening. We went out and heard the music, and yeah, and I try to put those into my life on purpose as well. So a friend of mine that's also done fairly well from a not too dissimilar background said whenever he comes home from holiday, he'll stop at the bottom of the driveway, look up the house, and go, "Wow, look where I live and how I got here." And he'll sit and he'll make his other half sit there for 2 minutes. She's like, "Can we take the suitcase?" I'm like, "No, I'm just appreciating where I've got to and just going wow for a moment." And then you go in, unpack the suitcases, and get on with your life. But yeah, it's certainly I try and deliberately have
to
those
see that future king, and that he set up the Prince's Trust, and he is genuinely, as you know, very, very proud of.
And very engaged, right, with all that's going on, and it's lots of pinch yourself moments, definitely.
Thank you so much for sharing things, because a lot of people, you know, that sometimes you think, oh, and there's this book out about that, and I've got to follow, you know, the Tony Robbins exercise, or it's not perfect, or I've got to follow this program, or it's not perfect. And
something I found out, right, when you start making a lot of money, you end up around a lot of other people that made a lot of money and done very well. There are so many people that have done very well from incredibly modest backgrounds. They just don't talk about it necessarily. And I wish they did more, because it doesn't really matter where you grew up or where you started. You can do very well in life, whether it's financially or what your other goals are. It can be done, and lots of people have done it, even if you can't see them.
Oh, well, thank you for everything that you're doing now. And Code 4000 sounds like a fantastic opportunity for everybody, you know, who needs a bit of help in prison. So thank you, Dwayne, and love to the family, and more power to your elbow.
Thank you.
Wow, what Dwayne has done really is wonderful. And thank you, Dwayne, for some valuable pieces of advice there. For now, though, I'd like to say a big, big thank you to all of our guests, to Dwayne Jackson, and of course the lovely BEZ, our friends at TSB, the lovely JK, and of course, and most importantly, you for listening. Until next time, let us know what you think of our podcast on our Pride of Britain social media channels. I'll see you next time, when we will be talking to more extraordinary people, the Pride of Britain.